Well, let's still stay in Parliament because Ranking Member on Education, Dr. Clement Park, says the recent WASSCE result is nothing to celebrate it, and despite the Education Ministry describing the performance as impressive. The Bilsa South MP says 50% of the candidates would not meet the requirement to enter tertiary institutions.
Contrary to assertions that the pioneering students of the double-track system of the free senior high school policy had put up an impressive performance with more than 50% passing all core subjects, Dr. Clement Park disagrees.
I don't think that the results should give us reason to celebrate, because if you see the content of the release that WAEC put out and you do the comparative analysis, it is very clear that just about 50% of all those who sat for WASSCE this year do not have the requisite grades to take up places in tertiary schools. And that is a big indictment, especially when we are talking about maths and English. So we ought to be worried.
The Ministry of Education, however, maintains that this year's result is the best result compared to the past 7 years.
It's only from 2020 to 2021 that you are having students writing the exams, over 50% of them getting between above the 50% mark. I think the problem has always been in when a student, for instance, gets a D7 or a fail in any of the core subjects, and the system that the universities have been using is that they usually deny such a student an opportunity to have access to the universities. It is the more reason why this time around the Honorable Minister of Education, Dr. Yao has directed GTech, and he directed that this time around, if a student, for instance, gets D7, is an opportunity for the universities to once again organize the program that the student feels of the subject, so that even if you have to take, for instance, 5 years for such a student to complete the university, the student at least should be given the opportunity to justify him or herself.
Executive Director for Institute for Education Studies, Peter Partianti, says he'll hasten slowly in pronouncing whether the students did well, but using entry into tertiary level as a benchmark, 40% of the students are unlikely to make it.
Also, the last year, the average pass rate, it was almost 59.9, and that is 60. It means that 40% of these kids will not be able to access tertiary institutions unless they sit and write any of the core subjects that they failed. That was the same result for last year. It was almost 59.9, and that should be a point of worry to all of us.
He proposes intensive research, comparative analysis, and intervention for students in the senior high school.
The WASSCE system, the assessment procedure, it does not cover all the tenets or the domains that we're supposed to measure as prescribed by the curriculum. There are a lot of things that affect the students during the day of the exams. And if you are going to grade our students 60, 70% based on that particular period, you are not going to be fair to such a student. So we will have to look at that